How should we start a marathon training plan? Well, mine started a little something like this. The reality was a little less spectacular. Now, the start or the first cycle or first training week of a marathon training plan is not the time to push your limits. That comes later. This is the time to set your habits, test the training format, and set up your base fitness. But to explain this, we need to set the scene. Now, my first training cycle consisted of 11 days. It started with 2 days lead in, followed by what will typically be my normal training cycle, which is 9 days. And 9 days is what fits best with my work. I began with a long run of 2 hours. Second day was an easy run with full body strength training, and then onto the training cycle. It went like this: easy, hill circuit, mid-distance long run, some strength training, complete full day off, intervals, easy, plus some strength training, easy, finishing up with the long run. Also on most days I did a 10 to 15 minute session of isometric strength training, which was targeted at tendon health, focusing on my Achilles tendons and the patella tendons. Given that structure, I set my habits. So I test the habits, looking for what's easy, seeing how I get the training sessions fitted in and if I get into the training. Also looking to see where the friction is, what gets in the way. What I noticed is that my key problems were when I trained later in the day. The early training sessions were the ones that I always got done and didn't seem to have any trouble. But the later in the day it got, the more chance the unplanned, unexpected and other aspects of life crept in, took over and pushed the training aside. If I want to make this work, I've got to look at getting the training done early, out of the way, and then I'm free for everything else. And testing the training format. Do the sessions work together? Does it fit in? Does it fit in with my sleep? And being a shift worker, I'm unlikely to be able to do a long, hard session after a night shift. So I have to time that format in with my working life. Also need to time it with how I do the other sessions. Doing a long run the day before an interval training, it doesn't work. It looks like I've got the format pretty right. I'm not carrying too much fatigue going into the key sessions. Setting up the fitness base comes back to getting the basics right, getting the basics completed. A big part of it is not trying to cover everything or too much. Understand the main point of a training session and aim on that. The focus should be on covering the main point of the training session, not trying for it to achieve lots of other things, but just get it right. So at the moment, on the long run, I just need to be out there running for the set time. So starting with 2 hours, then 2 hours and 7 minutes. The point is, keep it in the zone and keep moving for that time. For the intervals, it was get the pace right and nothing else. The other aspect on making sure we're setting up the fitness base is don't push the limits yet. This is the start of training, and in this case, it's the start of 29 weeks worth of training. So if you push the boundaries too much now, you run the risk of having too much time off, getting injured, not adapting further down the track. Overall, we'll get less training done, even though at the moment, some of it feels way too easy, way too short, and like I'm just not doing enough. But this is where we need to have faith in the training program and understand that this is about setting up the base so that I can do the harder, longer training in the future where the bigger gains will happen. So if we look at the first week of training, if we just look at 7 days so that you can compare my training to yours, covered 60 kilometres in that week. That will probably be the beginning average for a typical 7-day training cycle of about 60 kilometres, and it will gradually build throughout the training. Now, I'm not really concerned about exact training volume, how many kilometres I cover each week, whether it's 60, 65, 70, or I drop back. Really, the volume is just a byproduct of getting the basics right, of getting the key training sessions. So I'm looking at building the long run from about 2 hours, 2 hours 6, 2 hours 12, and so on to 3 hours by the end of the marathon base phase. I also need to be recovered enough. So the easy days will be as easy as they need to be, really erring on the side of not doing enough. And as a result, there'll be fluctuations in the training volume, and it's getting the key points right rather than being a slave to hitting any weekly targets of training volume. Now, starting this training, one thing I look at is my paces are feeling really slow, and they're slow compared to trying to run a sub 3 hour marathon. I have to remind myself, and I had to really remind myself during these sessions, that I'm a long way out. I've got a long way to go. So it's okay for the speed not to be there yet. That's to come, and I've got a plan to build it. When you're running 6 minutes per K for the long runs, and that really is the right intensity for me, that's a long way off being able to run 4:12 or faster per kilometre over the marathon distance. That's what this one's about. It's about setting that challenge, feeling like it's too high, and seeing if I can get there. The chance of failure is really up there at the moment, but that's the fun in it. Let me know, does this breakdown of training help? Is there anything else you want me to do? Would you prefer me to go in much more detail on each of the sessions? Or does this more of an overview and covering the key concepts? Is that more useful? Let me know what helps, because that's the point of these videos. It's not just to document my own training, it's to tease out the lessons and the realities of training for a marathon and training to run a fast marathon for yourself. What can we learn together? Let me know. Keep on running. See you in the next video.